Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Gabrielle Flores from SoulExcelsior.com. Here I have the most bright, beautiful light, extraordinaire energy Reiki healer, Jessica Brodkin. Jessica, thank you so much for being here. She's like blushing already.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, so those of you that don't know Jessica, she is, like I just mentioned, an extraordinary, huge, bright light. But Jessica, why don't you give us a little background of exactly what you do and how you got into it?
What I do is I basically do Reiki, shamanic Reiki. So I mix a couple of different traditions. I use somatic release when I can see people in person. If I can't, then I just mostly do Reiki from a distance. I basically think of Reiki as alternative therapy in terms of a way to process your emotions that are on the subconscious level and that are on the level of not talking. I love therapy and I still go. But this is a different type of sort of embodied in terms of feeling energy moving through your body, feeling blockages. A lot of us store our emotions or feelings or traumas or beliefs in our physical bodies and our emotional bodies. And this way it helps release it and process it. And that's what I do for people.
Yeah. She makes it sound simple, but those who have tried it, myself, and that's how I've met Jessica, is I would have to say it is like therapy times a million. Like, it gets to the root source. It actually finally addresses all that trauma, pain, and really helps it. And when you see Jessica, she is so tiny. She's like this little light. But let me tell you something. She will grab it. She will carry it. She will absorb it. This is why I am so grateful that you do what you do, because had it not been for you, I would have been a completely different person today. So definitely thank you for that. But Jessica, you didn't start off being just an energy healer.
No.
You kind of got yourself on this journey. So tell me, how did it all begin? Because I love this story.
So when I was 26, so I started working for the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, when I was 22 and right out of college. And at 26, I had migraines that were super debilitating and I could not function. So I was on medical leave and I just would pass out all the time and just not really be functional. I took a lot of medication. It worked for a little while, and then it didn't. And then I passed out at a friend's house. I woke up and all my migraine was gone, all my pain was gone, and he was waving his arms over me, over my body. And I didn't know what he was doing, but I felt great. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm doing Reiki." And I'm like, "Reiki what?" And then this was in New York, and then I went back to DC where I was living. I found a healer. I worked with him for years. And then around my Saturn return, which for me was around 30, 28 to 30, is when I had another like psychological breakdown, totally depressed, thought I was bipolar. It was a very scary time. I was on partial medical leave. And then I started seeing spirits. After meditating for a long period of time, I was getting Reiki, acupuncture, therapy, I mean, I had health insurance at the time. I had government health insurance, so it was a totally different world than now. But and then my sister was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, and she was in an enormous amount of pain. And I figured out through trial and error that I was able to help mitigate her symptoms. And that's how I knew that I had something. And then I just started doing healings for my friends and my family. And it just, business just grew from there. It just like came out of nowhere. So it was unexpected.
Yeah. So it kind of sounds like you got the healing done first.
Yes, for a long time.
So, and then somehow it led you to this like incredible calling. Did you ever think that when you were little, this is what you were going to do?
Never.
No.
I had no idea what this was. I had no interest in this. I liked psychology at the time when I was a teenager. I loved it. I read a lot of books about cognitive psychology, and also I liked brain science. So I liked the idea of consciousness. I did meditation when I was a teenager, so I was into that. I was into that stuff, but really it was just to manage my mental health.
Yeah, yeah, and it sounds like you did a phenomenal job. And you also do you manage your mental health through the most beautiful medicine, which is laughter. You not only heal people with your incredible energy, but you also heal people with laughter. So tell us a little bit about comedy.
So I began stand up 10 years ago. I did it on and off because it was kind of challenging with the healing practice to do stand up all the time. But I'm doing stand up over Zoom now, which is crazy. So
Amazing.
writing jokes and trying to keep up the comedy. But comedy has been in and out of my life since I was a little kid, comedy and music. So I still do comedy, still do music, still play instruments. And so I like to keep the creative juices flowing and
As
part of my brain active, which feels really good. It's also a way to connect with intuition.
Okay, okay. So let's talk a little bit about intuition, because I feel like intuition is something that's so important for every single person to tap into. So now with everything that's been kind of going on, and some people may feel like there's a lot of unknown. Not that there ever wasn't. I think it's just more visible. Like no, no, no. Like seriously, like it's
Yeah.
unknown now. What are ways that you could say that you could provide some tips and suggestions on how to be able to tap into more of that intuition? You mentioned some creativity. What's like some ways that you tap into your intuition?
Well, the fastest way to develop intuition is meditation, but even though meditation is something that people want to do all the time, but also have a lot of resistance to doing. So I will hear people, clients, and just people in general be like, I want to meditate. I hate the idea of meditation. So there's this push-pull. But the greatest way to really tap into your intuition is to truly meditate and to cultivate stillness, which is a lot of resistance. So, but I welcome people to do that, because when you do cultivate stillness, you get to really face all of your inner programming. And our reality is so much based on our inner programming that we get to tear that apart. We get to rewire our brains, which is amazing. My other ways of tapping intuition for me is really exercise, and which is maybe strange. It sounds weird, but and I think a lot of runners, I don't run, but a lot of runners think that it clears their heads, or people who do cardio. So I feel like cardio for me clears my mind and really just brings on a lot of intuition, and I'll get a lot of intuitive hits while I'm working out. So I keep a notebook or my phone near me when I'm exercising, because I get a lot of downloads and I just scribble them down. And sometimes, actually, Einstein did this a lot too. So Einstein would be working on a math problem or physics problem, using math, and then he would stop and go for a bike ride for an hour, and then he would get the solution. And he also played violin. So he used music and exercise to tap into his intuition. And intuition is something that I think everyone can use, because intuition is basically what we're looking for. Is we're looking for some guidance. We're looking for some next steps. And it's your intuition and not your fear when the answer feels really calm. When it's a voice in your head going like, be afraid, sometimes our intuition will come as fear, in terms of don't turn on this corner, where, or where you're near someone and you feel like all of your goosebumps and the hairs on your back, like listen to that. But sometimes but there are two types of fear. One is like danger, like physical danger. And so your body picking up on things. And the other is your negative thoughts. So it's important to figure out where the physical danger, where the negative thoughts are coming from.
Absolutely brilliant. Question.
Sure.
Where do you think negative thoughts come from? Like, and why do we have them?
That's a great question. I think that, there are a couple of places negative thoughts could come from. One is internal programming. When, before we turn 7, our brains are in, is it alpha? Our brains are in alpha waves. We absorb everything. So depending on our environment, our brains are programmed to think and be a certain way. The other, some people think that negative thoughts come from other people, and they're super empaths, and that they're absorbing negativity from around them. So I think that that's real. Why do we have, I think that my understanding, and honestly, the Buddhist understanding of the human brain, is that we are inherently negative. They call it the monkey mind, and then just the human design is that we, by human design, are very flawed.
We don't want to hear that. Yeah, that makes complete sense that we are already that way. And then we're right. So ultimately,
work on it.
so we're always kind of like battling. What do you think about this whole like reptilian brain? Have you heard of this? This reptilian brain, that it says that like that's where like our
fear comes from. Amygdala, you mean like the amygdala? No, not, is it the amygdala?
It is the amygdala, yeah, where you're having these thoughts, but they're saying that you kind of tend to naturally gravitate towards the negativity because of the reptilian brain. But I like the whole gorilla brain too. So it's like we're just really just savages, right?
Really just, I mean, they call it the monkey mind on purpose.
Right.
So they call it the monkey mind, and it's something that, you know how you have to potty train a kid to use the toilet, we have to potty train our brains to not spin out. And the thing is that when our thoughts do spin out or we get into a negative space, I think it's really important to greet yourself with compassion and not to judge yourself for that, because a lot of people will feel shame or about like wherever their thoughts are. But the truth is that there's so much, we're really in a really great time in history in some ways, because there's so much research, there's so many tools available to help manage our mental health.
Absolutely. All right. So I have had the privilege to work with some amazing souls of people. And I've had some who have mentioned about this whole twin flame, right? It's like such relationships where I myself still am like, all right, I've heard so many different things. I've read so many different things. Sometimes people say like, oh, the twin flame relationship is really the relationship of when you're being abused. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, no, that's not what it is. So what's sort of your awareness on twin flame, and what's your thoughts on that?
So so what they say sort of publicly, and by publicly I mean what's written on YouTube, what's written on blogs in terms of spiritual blogs or Instagram and stuff where spiritual people are looking for guidance. They'll say twin flame. Twin flame originally is really the other half of your soul. That's what it's supposed to mean.
Right.
So it's beyond a soulmate, right? So the idea is that we've all had many, many lives. We've had many soulmates, people that we've gone through multiple incarnations with, and your twin flame is like your person. That's how. However, what people are writing, what people are saying on YouTube and saying all over is that that there's usually when there's a twin flame relationship, there's a runner. So people are together, somebody runs, and the other person chases, and then they switch. And they go through this sort of relationship, and they're like, this is a mark of a twin flame. Well, in fact, very basic psychology that is attachment theory, which has existed for, I don't know, 60 years or maybe more. It's really a lot of people who are in relationships have an attachment wound. And basically they like to chase people, or they're attracted to someone who is inconsistent, who runs away. And this is not a sign of a twin flame. This is a sign of an anxious attachment system or an avoidant attachment system. And there are multiple types of attachment styles. So your basic psychologist will have this. If you Google, there's a great book called Attached. I can look it up. I think it's by Miller. There's a great book called Attached that will really help. But I think there's a lot of misguidance going on about twin flames. So people are touting really unhealthy, but also normal, like found in nature patterns. We say about like a quarter of people have an anxious attachment style, a quarter of people have an avoidant attachment style. And these people usually like each other. And it all just comes from like wounded childhood. One parent was unavailable. Like, okay, whatever. That's like so many people had an unavailable parent. Maybe they're sick, maybe they're neglectful, maybe they're busy, maybe they're broke, for whatever reason. Maybe they've got like 5 kids and they just don't have the space mentally.
Which is hard. It's hard to manage 5 kids.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or whatever the parent
Right.
has going on. There's
Right.
a wounded attachment system. And if you don't address that wound, and if you don't, then you're just going to be repeating the same patterns over and over again, because so many people who are in love or who want to be in love, and they find they just keep hitting a wall, and it's just like, okay, what is your attachment style? What is your attachment system?
And how do you think we as a society can be able to sort of address those wounds? Because it just sounds like we're all just adults, quote unquote, but we're all just wounded children who have grown up and we've just sort of been out there. So how does one sort of heal that process? I mean, is there, obviously go to you and, go do the work, or anyone for that matter that resonates with them.
Right.
But what are some ways that they can sort of start that journey, that they can sort of start creating that for themselves?
I mean, I think reading the book Attached is a really good start. I think just even Googling attachment styles is really useful. There are a lot of people on Instagram who are psychologists who are really great, who talk about it. I think that it's important to, whatever you're seeking from outside of yourself, try to give that to yourself.
Yes.
Try to give whatever you want someone else to give you, try to give that to yourself.
That is some valuable wisdom right there. What do you want to see more of in this world?
I want to see less. I mean, I think that answer would have been different pre-COVID.
Oh yeah, of course, everything would have been different pre-COVID.
I think right now I want people to stop judging themselves and stop judging other people, and to also be self-aware that they're hurting others. Maybe that's a lot.
Is that a lot? No.
Just let go of judgment and face reality and stop hurting each other.
Yes, that's huge. That's huge.
If people can, I think compassion for the self is really huge. I think letting go of judgment of the self is really huge. So many people judge themselves, feel like shit, and then take it out on someone else.
Oh, projection.
They just project so much.
Like return to sender gift.
Yeah, I feel like everyone, sorry, I curse. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse.
You're allowed to curse, yes.
But I wish people, self-awareness is a hard pill to swallow too.
Absolutely.
Like, if you could be aware of yourself and not judge yourself, ooh, wow. You can be,
yeah.
You can be discerning and not judge. So you can have discernment. This needs to stop, without the pile of pain. By judgment, I mean like the pile of pain.
That's beautiful. No, that's absolutely beautiful. I would wish that upon everyone too. I mean, it's just a lot of taking care of yourself, a lot of nurturing of yourself, which is a lot of self-love. The whole idea of self-love is like, oh, just get your hair did, or get a manicure, get a pedicure, go work out. It's a little
pictures of your butt in the mirror.
Yeah, like twerk a little bit, show off, the goodies, like let people know. But there's so much more. It's more deeper. It's just like you said, not having that inner judge and being aware of yourself, where you're able to be aware of yourself and not critique yourself, but instead improve yourself from a place of love rather than a place of, judgment.
Bad. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Where do you see yourself going in the future?
I see myself, being more online. So I see more of my work being online. I'm working on more courses. I see sort of courses and groups and all that stuff online. So that's where I see myself working from online.
From online.
So I can be anywhere. Also. I don't have to be trapped in New York City.
Oh, New York.
I love it. This is always home. I grew up here. I know you grew up here.
Yeah. So it's always going to be home. I know. Okay, so I always ask my guests to share something that has helped you in your journey that would be able to be of inspiration to someone else.
I guess one thing that I've been obsessed with for less than a year, but I'm teaching more and more of, is tapping. And so
Yes,
the
yes,
EFT, emotional freedom technique, is something that you can do anytime. Anybody can do it. It's super easy and it can be done on any subject. And so I know you're a hypnotherapist
yes,
too. And
yes.
so you're all about that inner transformation. And so
Love it.
tapping is one of the tools that you can do to get rid of your internalized negative beliefs. And it's so powerful. You can do it on any issue. Money, men, parents, whatever's making you feel,
Whatever's going crazy, and you're saying,
whatever's making you upset, whatever is irritating you, when you feel like you're really stuck in life
yeah.
and you can't move forward, I think tapping is the way to go.
And do you feel like you do it every day? Do you do it when it comes to tapping, do you focus on like, let's say, all right, today I'm going to focus on, money.
Right.
Tuesday I'll focus on men. Is it more of like, do you follow your intuition with where you're tapping each day? Or do you find that you dedicate like a week to one particular thing? Like, what would you say?
That's really smart. That's a really good question. For me, tapping is super powerful. So I have a really hard time doing it every day. So I could tap, let's say I tap today, and I could be processing it till Wednesday.
Ah, okay.
For me. And also after you tap, especially if you're doing it for the first time, you can get burpy, you'll get sleepy, you can just, it really moves things around. I've had people who have tapped on, I know this sounds, tapped on mental health in a really big way. Like when they have a very specific mental health issue, they've tapped on it and it's really helped them.
Can you show us just like
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, something for like the mental health.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there are a few spots. The first spot would be right here, and you're tapping as if you're tapping on someone's shoulder. And I'll show you first all the spots,
Okay.
and then we'll then there's the top of the head, and I use 2 fingers. Forehead, the beginning of the eyebrows, the temples, cheeks, upper lip, lower lip, here, sort of where your brow band will be, and your wrists.
Okay.
And so I don't know if you can see everything. I think you can. But so it was like, even though, and so in the beginning, so yeah, you could, so yeah, tap like here. And so in the beginning, you'll say, even though you feel XYZ, I love myself completely, I love myself fully. You do that twice. And then you go throughout your body and you say how you're feeling, stream of consciousness. And then you say how you want to feel.
All right. Awesome.
So you want to do mental health?
Yeah, let's do one for the collective, like for mental health.
Okay, great. All right, so just follow me. Even though I feel anxious and depressed and frustrated about what's going on collectively in the world,
about what's going on collectively in the world.
I love myself completely.
I love myself completely.
I love myself fully.
I love myself fully.
And I forgive myself.
And I forgive myself.
Even though I'm struggling with my mental health.
Even though I'm struggling with my mental health.
And I'm having a really hard time.
And I'm having a really hard time.
And I don't know how to feel better.
And I don't know how to feel better.
I love myself completely.
I love myself completely.
I love myself fully.
I love myself fully.
And I forgive the universe.
And I forgive the universe.
You feel plugged in?
Oh.
So much, right? Okay, so let's start at the top of the head.
Okay.
I know that so many people are struggling now.
I know that so many people are struggling right now.
I'm struggling right now.
I'm struggling right now.
Even though a part of me knows I'm very lucky.
Even though part of me knows that I'm very lucky.
Things could be so much worse.
Things could be so much worse.
But I'm just really unhappy.
But I'm just really unhappy.
I'm frustrated.
I'm frustrated.
I'm anxious.
I'm anxious.
I want to get out of the house.
I want to get out of the house.
I want to see my friends.
I want to see my friends.
I want to get out there and make money again.
I want to get out there and make money.
I want to just do normal things.
I want to just do normal things.
But I'm trying to do my best.
But I'm trying to do my best.
I'm trying to stay safe.
I'm trying to stay safe.
I'm trying to be responsible.
I'm trying to be responsible.
And protect those who can't protect themselves.
And protect those that can't protect themselves.
But I know I feel sad.
But I know I feel sad.
I feel trapped.
I feel trapped.
I feel alone.
I feel alone.
I've already seen everything on Netflix.
I've already seen everything on Netflix.
And I just don't want to live like this anymore.
And I just don't want to live like this anymore.
I don't know when it's going to end.
I don't know when it's going to end.
But I love myself completely.
But I love myself completely.
I love myself fully.
I love myself fully.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
And I'm going to do my best.
And I'm going to do my best
to really look at my life.
To really look at my life.
And to ask for what I want.
And to ask for what I want.
I want to live my life.
I want to live my life.
On my terms.
On my terms.
And be happy.
And be happy.
And use all this time.
And use all this time.
Wisely.
Wisely.
And also rest.
And also rest.
I know the way we were living.
I know the way we were living.
Was not sustainable.
Was not sustainable.
For a lot of people.
For a lot of people.
So I'm going to use this time.
So I'm going to use this time.
To have a rebirth.
To have a rebirth.
And to live my best life.
And to live my best life.
And to be my best self.
And to be my best self.
I love myself completely.
I love myself completely.
I love myself fully.
I love myself fully.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
And I forgive the universe.
And I forgive the universe.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Take a deep breath. And exhale.
All right. So on my end, I have chills everywhere. I feel everything shifting. Jessica, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
For sharing your story. I wish you guys, hopefully if one day we do get to a point where things are in a place of rebirth, as Jessica said, you guys will have the honor to be able to physically feel Jessica's healing energy, because I feel it right here and this is online. So imagine in person. She is a beautiful force. Jessica, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And if you guys want to reach out to Jessica, I'll put her information down below. Guys, I'm sending you all blessings of love and light. Peace.